HR head at Orange Business Services. He brings in 25 years of experience and worked with companies like Nokia, Taj Group, Oberoi, and Honda in his earlier stint. Sudeep?
Yeah, hello, good morning, everybody.
Yeah. Good morning, Sudeep, and welcome. The third speaker is Vastav Pandya, who's the head of HR, who's the head HRBP or head HR business partner at Catholic Syrian Bank, which is now named as CSB Bank. He's got a long stint with HDFC Bank and had earlier worked with Reliance and Adani Group as well. Vastav,
Hi everyone. Good morning.
good, good. Without wasting much time, we'll go into the round and we'll start with the discussion the way we wanted to. I just wanted to understand the way the HR has changed. As I said, the earlier roles were predominantly restricted to certain part of this parts, which is engagement of engagements, talent acquisitions, performance appraisal, exits. Today, in the new avatar, what is the realignment in the thought process related to the strategy and what is the leadership expectations from the HR is what we wanted to know. And I would like the most senior member in the team to speak. Bhaskar.
Good morning, Ranu, and
Good morning.
good morning, all my fellow analysts, Vastav, Sunil, and Sudeep, and all my audience and attendees. So I would like to share, as I am coming from a manufacturing sector. So now one of the major change which I have observed and we are following is that earlier we have to basically take care of and thought of the employee himself or herself, because we have to take care of him or her. Now the thing is that we have to extend it to family also, because today in the COVID time, not only he need to be fine and fit, and his family also need to be fine and fit, because unless family is fit and fine, he will not be fit and fine. So we have gone to the extent of providing solution to the employees. Like one very interesting examples I will share with you. Like in West Bengal, still the flat systems are not very prevailing. So we have office there, plant there. So still the children's like Shravan Kumar, they are taking food, fish, meat, sweet every weekend to their parents' home. So they are traveling in spite of this lockdown and time. So they say that parents are not acquainted with the smartphone, so the online facilities are not available. If you live in Mumbai, you have so many, option like Bellboy, Dunjo, then Zomato, Swiggy, Food Panda, Grofer, so many options are there. But still in places like Calcutta, those are not available. Available, but in very limited number. Then we gave suggestion that why you are keeping yourself in risk, you are keeping your parents in risk by visiting every week. Why don't you have some online system? Then from company side, we tie up with 2-3 such vendors, Geo, then Big Basket like of thing, and then we organize those type of thing. Then in one case, one person's parents were stuck up in Delhi, and he was based out of our Nagpur plant. So when the train and flights were started in May month, so he was planning to pick them up. So in that case also, he was a senior person. If he going, is the risk not for him, then coming 14 days quarantine, so many things will be involved. So we organized that someone from our plant side, we send that person who is not that much support type of staff to get his parents. So these type of things now more and more we have to think of. Like in our app also, we are seeing that who all are in your house. So the people who have parents in their home and children under 10 years in their home, they are 100% work from home. We are not calling them to office. 55 age is the government offices are also doing, but additionally we are doing the people who are living with their parents and have children under 10 years age. They are also being allowed indefinitely from work from home, how important their role is. So that we will organize. Even in this time, like even basic things like if printer is required, scanner is required, organizing paper to be submitted to government office, that is required. So extra mile one can't think of the way people are doing to safeguard the employee, their family. And on one side, we have to get the plants also running because it is a matter of even our national economy as well as the salary, wages, keeping employment of all the employees. Thank you. Ranu, you are on mute.
Sudeep?
Thanks.
I wanted to understand from your perspective as well on what is the expectation from the leadership and on the business strategy.
Okay. So Ranu, first of all, let's set the context in the sense that this COVID crisis has not left anybody untouched, irrespective of the industry, irrespective of the department, functional area, or the level in the organization. Okay. Now, HR function is going to evolve post-COVID in the sense that HR is continue to do, HR will continue to do what it is doing pre-COVID. So same thing will continue. I don't think there is going to be any change in, but what is going to happen is that HR function would have to additionally focus on certain aspects which may not have been in that much of focus earlier, So core function is not going to change, but we are going to shift the focus. I think the first focus that's going to shift is on the organizational culture. See, when we are remote working for almost 6 months, we are still onboarding people, we are still hiring people. And the organization culture is something that needs to be maintained when maybe even your 30 to 40% people may continue to work from home. So HR role becomes very, very important here, where when you are actually on the floor together, all of you work together, it's much easier to convey. And because people experience that, because when you are on the shop floor, when you are in the company, anybody who is joining you would experience the organization culture. But when people are not connecting with each other face to face, they're not attending meetings, they're not meeting people, on daily basis, it would be HR's focus areas that organization culture continues to be preserved, nurtured, and further evolved. I think that's one major change that's going to happen. The second change would be infrastructure and amenities. HR would need to maybe work along with business leaders to make sure that everybody who is working from home in the long run or short run is provided with the basic infrastructure at home, and that may need some tweak in your policies. Then we will also need to work along with the IT function to ensure that all those IT challenges, the connectivity challenges, and those kind of things are actually taken care of. Now, having said so, culture and the infrastructure and amenities, I think the third focus is going to be on the collaboration and communication, because right now this is something that we take for granted, because let's say we hold town halls, we hold weekly meetings, we hold management meetings. So there's a lot of upward, downward, sideways communication which happen in any organization. But now going forward, when people are remotely located, they're working from home, I think there would be a renewed focus on the internal communication and also on the leadership communication, because that's the only way where people will feel connected to the organization. And then also we need to take care of, in addition to these three things, we also need to focus now on the mental health and emotional well-being of our employees. So I will not say mental health, it's mental health, physical health, then going a step further, which is emotional well-being. See, earlier what was happening is that people were meeting in office, face to face. They had those forums where they could, be little vocal with their colleagues, so they could share their expectations, share their frustrations, share their, any personal, sometimes personal or professional challenges with each other. Now with remote working or not having that much of face-to-face opportunity, people are definitely going to be under stress, and they may not get to vent that stress. So HR focus is going to shift to the personal, to the emotional well-being, to the mental well-being, and also to the physical well-being of employees. So I think these are the four major areas where HR focus will be more in post-COVID times.
Perfect. Vastav, what is your view from the banking and banking industry, specifically at CSB Bank, where I'm sure there's a ramp up which is expected to come in, and I'm sure there's enough talk in the market in terms of your growth plans that you guys have. How are you guys looking at the entire strategy?
So Ranu, I would talk largely from overall banking point of view, and then we can narrow down to what's happening in CSB, right?
Yeah.
But before that, means what Sudeep has said very right, that HR would not leave doing what it has been doing. There would be certain
Right.
additional areas of focus which would come into picture. Correct. Bhaskarji also gave right context of how it's not only employee but the whole family is important for the
Right.
organization. If I break it into three parts, correct. I would say one and very important is, what does HR do in general? HR understands human needs and it builds up on the human needs, whether those are motivators, those are threats, those are fears, those are drivers for employees, right? There are few drivers or there are few
Right.
needs which are likely to be changed, right?
Okay.
There are certain drivers or needs which would come more into light, on which HR will have to build up or HR would end up building up. Which are those specific needs which I think would come into play, right? One, people have seen that people are losing jobs, people are getting unwell, correct? People are out of job because of health issues for long period of time. Can be leave, can be unpaid leave, whichever way, right? So what I feel overall, a security element would be a strong driver going forward for at least some time. Same way, a stability element or need of stability would be another driver, right? Health is going to be one major driver for people, whether it is their health or their people's health. And most importantly, connection with people, which Sudeep also touched upon. People are losing connection. Like if I've joined a new organization maybe few months back, I don't know whether people here are even knowing me or not, right?
Yeah.
And that leads to a gap in connection which I feel with the organization, and that's not necessarily going to happen only for new joinees. It's also going to happen for people who are at middle management or lower management. So how do we improve the whole communication channel wherein people feel that they are connected to the organization, people know that I exist in this organization? How those things are required to be built up is going to be one of the core strategy for HR going forward, particularly for banking, because banking is very diversified, geographically very diversified setup. You have like 400, 500,000, 5,000 various locations where your business is operating from. On the
Yeah.
other side, there is one more change, not change exactly, but one more area of spotlight which would go is market awareness. What's happening in market? Whether it is about a good policies coming up on these lines in competition, because nobody has seen this scenario or this pandemic before. Nobody is ready or already prepared to deal with it. So everybody needs to learn as we go. So it's very important that we need to keep seeing what's happening in competition, what's happening in market, what are they coming up with. Also, it is very critical that what are the government regulations about it. Am I missing out on any government regulation and I am doing some intervention, because that can put me into a danger, right? There is third area which is an opportunity, right? Assume that we continue to work from home, larger set of people are continuing to work from home. What can we do about boosting up diversity of the organization? People with, let's say, physical disabilities. When I used to work from a particular office, there can be certain infrastructural challenges involved for a person with physical disability. Now if there are certain roles for whom work from home is going to be the new future, then can I increase more strength or more manpower from that particular group? What about women who are brilliant but probably losing out on their career because their family, because their social requirements? Can I somehow induce them back to working culture when I have this opportunity of having work from home for certain roles or larger number of roles on various organizations? So I think these are the roles, these are the areas where the strategy would be focusing more upon as far as HR is concerned, and the key would be it's not going to be different. It's going to be same. It's going to be building on the human needs, but those needs may change. So everybody needs to have absolute awareness of what are the new needs and those needs, because it's not going to be constant, because this 6 months would be different than upcoming 6 months and then upcoming 6 months till the time the whole thing stabilizes. So these needs need to be reviewed ongoing basis, which would be a core focus of HR, at least from banking point of view. Yeah.
Perfect. You're talking about dynamism, bang on. Every 6 months, maybe much faster, the dynamism would change and the needs would change continuously. Just taking the question from there, and I just wanted to understand, you specifically mentioned about talent and the need which would change. What are we doing to attract and retain the talent in this time right now? And Sudeep, if you can address that particular piece.
Sure,
How do
Ranu.
you attract and retain the new talent? I'm sure the requirements would change, the skill sets would continuously, you may be looking at reskilling people as well.
Yes. See, the entire talent piece, whether it's attraction or retention or training of talent, is going to be a challenging, issue in the times to come. Now, reason being, let's look at it in the industry context here. Okay. Now, there are certain industries, certain companies where there have been a lot of turbulence, I would say, with respect to the stability of employment. Okay. Now, there's one set of those organizations where they have laid off people, they have cut down on the compensation, or they may not have even honored their offer letters. So I think one big issue is going to be around employer branding, that how an employer, how an organization is perceived in the market. So that's one aspect when it comes to attraction and retention of people. Now, having said so, I think every company would need to maintain a solid talent pipeline still, and also keep your prospective candidates warm, in the sense that you should not lose touch. You may stop hiring today, but you should not lose touch with the talent pool whom you are going to hire in future. Okay, whom you may hire in future. Now now if I come to now attraction of talent, I think attraction of talent would not be a very big challenge. Reason being that today we have ample talent available in the market. Now, I mean, there are different studies which talk of different things, but if I only look at the IT sector, IT telecom sector, maybe the number of layoffs are running into lakhs and lakhs. And some studies said that maybe 2 million people in the organized sector have lost their job. So when you have ample talent available in the market, so attraction and availability of talent is not going to be a very big issue. The issue may be around where you want somebody, and that somebody is now not willing to switch over because of the uncertainty. So that way
Right.
the talent supply may become restricted, where people who were earlier mobile, who were earlier willing to experiment, look out in the market, now would like to stay in their safe zone. So that means the talent movement would be restricted. But anyway, the talent supply is not going to be restricted because of the layoffs which have happened in the market. Now, in terms of
Right.
talent retention, again, it's question of how are you going to reskill or upskill your people. If you have adequate work, it would also depend on you know uh, how to what extent your business is impacted. So if your business is hardly impacted with this pandemic, which is unlikely the case, then I think retention is not an issue. But if your business is impacted, then I think it's the reverse, which is the issue, that how do I redeploy my people? How do I reskill my people so that they are able to perform the jobs which may not be there earlier, but now those jobs are there in their new avatar. Now, in
Right.
addition to this, we might have to rejig a little bit of our market offering, in terms of, see, today maybe most of the companies have, let's say, 90%, 95% of their positions which are permanent roles. But with this now uncertainty which has set in, the business continuity is sometimes a question mark. So you may see rise of more fixed term employments, maybe more temporary contractual assignments, more consulting assignments. So maybe the entire hiring strategy would need to be changed to meet this new kind of employment, which was not seen earlier to that extent. But it would be good that we definitely, we should not shy away from especially the social media hiring. So I think it is good that even in these turbulent times when the hiring is low, an organization is able to maintain its visibility on all the hiring platforms and the social media especially, because when the things improve, those organizations are looked up to as preferred place to work.
Okay, thanks. Vastav, in fact, thanks, Sudeep, for answering this one. Vastav, I just wanted to check. As Sudeep also mentioned, 90% of the permanent roles which may change into gig economy and the temp and flexi workforce. And as I said, that you guys are growing and expanding aggressively. How are you working in terms of attracting and retaining the existing talent workforce and at the same time upskilling them, the existing ones?
If I talk about attracting talent, right? It
Yeah. You
typically revolves
specifically
around.
mentioned about the drivers. I'm sorry, you specifically mentioned about the drivers, and which was a very, very valid point about the 4 or 5 drivers that you mentioned, the way the entire scenario has changed. You
Yep,
can just address it from that perspective as well.
yep. So again, I would be coming from what would be the mindset of candidate during this period. If I understand that mindset, it becomes easier for an organization or for me to attract people, right? At this point of time, as Sudeep has rightly said, the talent mobility might be decreasing. People would not like to experiment, right? How do we make them do
Right?
that experiment? Which are the things which we can ensure working upon so that people do not feel it experiment to come and join us? For that, I need to have very strong brand. I need to create a brand which is stable and sustainable, right? If employees feel that organization is stable, it's not going to make a major change for me, I am not going to put myself into a risk, then I don't see a challenge in making people be mobile in terms of from organization A to organization B. Fortunately, unlike a technology setup or unlike other service setup, banking that way as an industry is considered to be more stable. Correct.
Yes.
It has not been heavily impacted, particularly when I talk about CSB Bank during this pandemic. Rather, we have done better growth compared to the corresponding quarter of last financial year. Rather, much better growth, right? So when I talk about brand and sustainability, there are a few more things. Like it may happen so that at this point of time I can't hire a person because of whatever reason, because he's not fitting the requirement, or I may not be on with my hiring. I may not want to hire at this point of time. But I need to be sensitive. Today's sensitivity is tomorrow's brand. If I be
Right.
sensitive to candidate today, they are still my brand ambassador. They are still my potential employees tomorrow. Would like to give a classic example here. I would not name the organization in, but one of the organization where somebody known to me is working, uh, they've taken a very good step that they had offered a lot of people from campus, and all of them they are being adhered. Of all offers are being honored. They are not going to drop a single offer. Correct. So it's a big achievement. Like there is a financial financial aspects included in it, but it's a great decision. How a lack of sensitivity or lack of communication kills this such a big step, right? Imagine when candidate calls you after maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months from offer, that what's happening on my joining, and you are telling the candidate that don't worry, we are getting back to you, and candidate has not called you, but you are going proactively to the candidate that you must be worried at this point of time, don't be worried, we are going to honor the offer, right? It will take maybe few months, but we will honor, you do not need to worry. Now communication is very same, but the different timing of this communication either improves the
Agree.
whole scenario or spoils the game, right? So that is where sensitivity comes into picture. Now a lot of people, because in banking we hire people from NBFC, we hire people from telecom, we hire people from insurance companies, correct, FMCG companies, real estate companies, because in sales roles people need to know how to sell, right? Now people are coming, they are approaching all people in HR, I'm sure, from banking. They might have lost the job, In normal scenario, your approach would be different to somebody who have lost the job, because suddenly it comes into your mind that might be would have been asked to go basis performance, or would have been laid off because of some integrity issue. You can't have the same mindset at this point of time. You need to be sensitive to that person. Those are the changes you need to bring on in your approach towards candidate if you want to attract real talent, right? Another thing is, there are a lot of bankers who are not hiring at this point of time. Even if I am hiring bit of it, why should I not use social media, as Sudeep has said? One, it is in a way a cost-free hiring. Second, I'm reaching out to hundreds of lakhs of people, and more importantly, I'm creating a brand in market that pandemic has not affected me much. I'm still hiring, and that helps me to
Right.
strengthen my brand. Right? When it comes to retaining talent, all these things are equally important. But over and above these items, two more things which I would like to emphasize upon. One is, again, a clarity. People need to know what's going to happen to my organization, what's going to happen to me if I continue in this organization. They should not have gray clouds of dilemma. They need to have absolute clarity. And second is infrastructure, particularly if there are larger number of people working from home. If I used to work in an office and I have access to everything, and suddenly I'm working from home, then working from home and I do not have access to a lot of things, then working from home is certainly not a motivator. It becomes a hurdle or restriction. So if work from home is going to be near future for certain roles, certain organization, then it's critical that that amount of infrastructure is available. Otherwise, it may lead to be one of the prime reason why people may quit.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, well, I think what you said is very important. Today's sensitivity is a brand tomorrow. I think, yeah, Vastav, it makes a lot of sense. Providing infrastructure, Vastav, at times from a banking perspective would have been difficult because the number of workforce and the kind of access that you need to the systems would be too large. Was it a challenge for you guys?
Can you just repeat it, please? There was
I
some
said
frequency.
providing the infrastructure for such a large workforce would have been difficult, right? Being from the banking industry.
When suddenly this pandemic started and suddenly a lot of people were working from home, initially it was a challenge. The challenge well adhered to, correct. Good thing is, once you solve this problem, it is solved for future as well. It is a
Ever.
one time problem.
Right.
It's not going to happen every time. And now not only us, not only banking, but all organization is rather better equipped to, if suddenly tomorrow again work from home happens for most of the people, unfortunately, correct, then
Right.
people are equipped how to handle it. Earlier it would have taken a month, now it would take probably for 2-3 days to stabilize things.
Okay. And specifically, you mentioned about the diversity part where you spoke about, hiring handicapped people as well for certain roles. How seriously is this being considered in across the organizations to you and Sudeep specifically because manufacturing that is not possible? Are we really considering that, and is that really being given consideration? Because that's a very good initiative, in fact.
So that is certainly on cards. Probably
Yeah.
organization, at least in banking and specifically us, would be waiting for right time to initiate that particular thing. Because as in first beginning point, as Bhaskar had said, at this point of time, people are more worried about their health, their surrounding, their families, and everything. And if I am targeting,
Right.
let's say, a specific gender group, let's say women, who at one point of time had left career to take care of family, to take care of the immediate circle, then this might not be immediately a right time. We may have to wait for maybe a couple of months, let things slightly settle down, and then to start it would be a right strategy.
Okay. I'm sure and Bhaskar, I would like to have your view because what comes out, there's a lot of redesigning of the entire policy that would have happened in the HR on the HR front, and everything and benefits all also would have got completely revamped. How are we realigning the workforce engagements? How are we redesigning the policies? And how is the benefit being shaped up in the entire in the new avatar today? Bhaskar ji, if I can ask you specifically on this front.
Yeah. So I would give as my co-panelist as basically from service sector. So I will give more perspective of the manufacturing sector, because manufacturing also have a large number of workforce, and the work from home is not as prevailing as in services sector. So in the current scenario, where the social distancing is the new norm, it is very difficult to have large scale gathering. And for just Ranu also know very well that he spent his childhood in the plant setup and all. So in plant, we used to have large scale gathering. In the our larger plant, we have a gathering of 10,000 people. In medium
Agreed.
scale plant, we have gathering of 2,000 people, 2,500 people. Recently, we have Golden Jubilee in one of the plant where the gathering was of 4,000 people. So those type of things will be the things of past. So now the challenge is that without having gathering, like without having Diwali Milan, Holi Milan, Navaratri, Ganesh Chaturthi gathering, how we can engage with the family members and the individual, and the teams, Zooms, MS Teams, Zoom, Geo Meet, all those things, they have limitation. With these, you can move
Yes.
for 2 months, 3 months, or 5 months. And in when social gathering, when you have a gathering of 2,000 people, gathering 2,000 people with social distancing is totally a impossible task, because you will have
Right.
food also, everything is there. So that will be a major challenge. So what we are doing, and I have with my colleagues in other manufacturing organizations also, more and more engagement over these social media platform itself, mobile platform itself. And what now we are doing, we have doing dedicated sessions for the housewives, dedicated session for the children's, again in children different age group, like 10 and below, 10 to 16, 16 to 22, like that. In the housewife also, the professional housewives, only household type of ladies. So we are becoming now more and more customized when it comes to having engagement initiative for the family members, and that people are liking. And I think till some time more it will happen, and we are getting good results, because in manufacturing setup people are, except for enabling functions, people are coming to the plant, so they are there. So that way we are very customized initiatives we are running for the family members, and we have ensuring that they have laptops in their hand. Those people who doesn't have laptop, we have, in the beginning we have taken laptops on rent. Now we have purchasing it, so that every employee have either computer or laptop in hand in their house, so that we can have all these things. Even on every, almost every, on Saturday evening, Sunday evening, we have initiatives for them. So because their engagement is more important than the employee engagement, because employee anyhow is working, he
Yes.
spent a good time on the work, because now it is 24/7 in the current scenario. So it is more important. Again, in the first instance also I have shared you today, our concern is more to keep the family members engaged more, because if family is taken care of, employees for sure he will be fine. So our more concern is family.
I agree. In fact, and anything on the policy front, Sudeep ji, if you can, Sudeep, you can address anything on the policy front, redesigning of HR policies and on the benefits aspect.
Yes. So Ranu, I think HR will have to revamp the HR policies and the benefits portfolio post COVID. Now, reason being that maybe
Mm.
our work environment is going to get more virtual, and it's going to be more
Yeah.
spread out and distributed. Now, having said
Right.
so, we might have to relook at rather the entire employee life cycle, right from onboarding, our recruitment practices, onboarding practices, our talent management practices, our employee engagement initiatives, to our reward recognition policies, to our exit process, and everything in between. Now, why we need to do this is that today, all the policies are designed with the assumption that everybody is there face to face, they are working, face to face, they are working in teams, they can reach out to each other. Now, if I have even my 25% workforce in service sector who is working remotely, then this person cannot come to office, or may not be able to participate in physical face to face meetings, or may have to unnecessary visit office for getting some small thing done. So one
Right.
definitely expect would be to make new policies which will have minimal face-to-face interaction. We'll have to redefine those processes. Let's say, like, if something very simple, basic, let's say like exit process. Now, a lot of organizations which have, let's say, a physical clearance form might be forced to go with the online clearance form, where the guy doesn't actually roam from one department to other department taking signatures, those kind of things. Similarly,
Yeah.
they leave, somebody has to apply for leave. Why should this person actually have any face-to-face interaction? Should just go on a system. So a lot of organizations which have not so far adapted to the digitization of the processes would be now forced to digitize those processes. And then
Right.
also we will have to look at some of the benefits portfolio, because right now the benefits are designed in such a way, again, which is more suitable to office working. Definitely, HR will have to relook at all the insurance policies, insurance, health, wellness policies. That's one. Second, there are now a lot of things. Let's say, people are having those fuel reimbursements or driver salary reimbursement for coming to office. Now, let's say for last
Right.
4 months, if somebody is coming to office, how this person is actually,
Yeah.
and what for this person is going to claim the fuel reimbursement of the driver salary.
Right.
Or maybe some companies even may have a uniform allowance. Now, while working from
Right.
home, you don't need to wear uniform. Now, what you will do with the uniform allowance? Or rather, companies might be forced to look at something like work from home allowance. We'll have to
Yeah.
maybe which would include cost towards some capital cost reimbursement and some running cost reimbursement of, let's say, running cost of AC, running cost of your internet, phone, and all. So that way, I think the benefits portfolio will may be required to be rejigged. And overall, I think HR will have to continue to monitor the employee morale. That so people should not feel as if they are deprived because of the new change. So our policies and practices, our SOPs, are the way we are operating in HR. I think this needs to keep pace with the changing requirement of post-COVID times. Thanks,
Perfect.
Ram.
Perfect. Thanks. So yeah, Vastav, how are you guys looking at the entire piece, Bhaskar? Sorry, Vastav, how are you guys looking at it?
So we have spoken about two things of which I would cover. One is the HR benefit portfolio and the workforce engagement piece, right? Covering on the benefit piece. Now let's move a year back. At that point of time, work from home was considered to be a benefit, or a
Right.
flexibility was considered to be a benefit, and flexibility largely meant work from home, right? Now the whole game has changed, right? There are organizations who are saying work from home. There are organizations who are saying don't work from home, come to office.
Right.
Correct. Somewhere flexibility is no one is talking about. While people might be putting work from home as a part of flexibility, but
Right.
uh, real flexibility is, if I want to work from home, I work from home, and if I want to go to office, there is an office available. Right. So that
Yeah.
flexibility, because in earlier conversation we also discussed about the infrastructure issues which one may face at home. Right. Assuming, and right now I'm restricting my communication if and for all those whom work from home is applicable. Right. Assuming that one is working from home, and because of reason A or reason B, if he needs to go to office, is he allowed to?
Yeah.
What is the process around it? What is the policy around
Yeah.
it? If that policy is built that you are working from home, but as and when you need to go to office, you can go. That is the
Yeah.
flexibility probably on near future, right? Second thing on benefit plan would be basis the scenarios that people have observed around them in last 6 months or 5 months. Uh, the future, everybody would like to stable their future than stabilizing their presence. Correct. So
Right.
maybe more emphasis on saving plans. I remember 2008 Lehman Brothers crisis, and the whole world economy went for a toss at that point of time. Relatively, India was better at an individual level, and one of the reason economists used to give is that our compensation package has very strong saving plans like superannuation plan or pension plan or provident fund plans. Correct. So those saving plans need to be reviewed again. Probably couple of further steps need to be taken on that, which may give more sense of stability to employees, and that is one area organization in near future would be working. Right. As I've also said, can we have more flexibility to certain group like women, like people with physical disability? Then it is more on the diversity policies that organization need to adopt. If I talk about workforce engagement, on the workforce engagement, one and the core thing in current situation is communication, right? What amount of communication is flowing and how it is flowing from top to bottom. Because all of us have played game of Chinese whisper, right? Communication starts from top management stating A, it moves to E, then it goes to I, right? And somewhere it goes to Y. Right. So one example I would take of CSB Bank is our MD is talking to almost all employees in a group twice in a month in this scenario, so that everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows where organization is poised and what is the future, and for achieving that future, what do we need to do. Everybody gets the sense of individual recognition. Correct. So that is one thing. As Bhaskar has also spoken about the engagement with family. Correct. It's very important because now families have merged with our working environment. Right. I'll take my own example. My family members hardly knew who are my colleagues. Correct. Initially, so they knew, of course, because I worked with HDFC Bank for 11 years. They knew everyone in and out. But it took maybe 7-8 months a year for them to know my team members or my colleagues by name. In the new organization, because I'm keep talking to them, having video conferencing, having call with all of them, my family members know their names like in a month, that who all are working with Vastav, right? So that is the impact which work from home brings. Your family, knowingly unknowingly, is more closely associated to your working environment, and hence it is more important of the mindset of family as well. What they hear me talking to, my moods, my reactions also make them judge or assess organization, and what they judge or assess organization is going to impact me directly on my stability or on my engagement or on my commitment to the organization, and hence their connection with organization is very very critical, and it was bang on by Bhaskar. uh, One more thing, if I specifically talk about, is recognition. In this kind of an environment, how do we bring recognition is another area of engagement which needs to be focused upon. uh, Earlier, we used to have standard recognition schemes. You have performed something, data is seen, you would get a certificate, you would get a mail. But more importantly, we used to have pat on back, which was very informal. Right. If we are discussing with our seniors and they like something, they would say, "Oh, Vastav, great job done." Now, that is more important than receiving 3 certificates at a formal level.
Right.
Having those formal recognition channels still is possible at this point of time, but how do we bring pattern back in virtual environment, right? So there are a few brilliant technology platforms, there are few superb concepts where this is possible virtually, right? The whole thing is possible virtually, and as Sudeep has said, this is rather an opportunity and mandated opportunity, I would put it as way, for organization to go and hug very tightly to brilliant technology solutions. They don't have an option, and it is an opportunity as well, right? So these things are possible, these things are being done, wherein virtually the whole uh, pattern back is created. Correct. But for that, organization need to embrace technology.
I would request if you can just elaborate this technology part. You spoke about engagements, and you spoke about the way you can recognition can go online. What are the kind of solutions that you're bringing in on the technology front?
So when I talk about technology, at
Because I
this
like
point
the
of
work
time,
tight hug, because very, very important from all
yeah.
perspectives. And then I would also like Bhaskarji as well towards the end to talk on the manufacturing piece. How they're looking at technology?
So when I talk about technology, uh, the ideal vision of a technology for any organization in my mind is that everything needs to be done through technology unless it cannot be done through technology. It should not be what it used to be a year, 2 3 years back, wherein everything needs to be done by human being unless it is not being done by human being. It is
Yeah.
now changing to technology being in focus, right? And trust me, almost everything can be done by technology except very few things like relationship building, emotional connect, correct, and need of physical proximity. These three things technology can't do. Apart from that, everything can be done by technology. So I'll give you a classic example. Most of the organization would have a process on employees confirmation, that employee will tell his supervisor what he has done. Supervisor will say how well the employee has performed. Probably skip level supervisor would approve that. It would come to HR would approve that, and person would get confirmation later, right? uh, why this whole process and involvement from so many people are needed? I know everybody
Right.
would be playing a role, but whatever role they are playing are designed with business scenarios. In every scenario can be factored by technology. So now organizations can do goal setting in technology, right? Organization once do goal setting in technology, then in platform. At the time of confirmation, it is readily available how well person has performed on those parameters or how well the person has not performed on the parameters. System already knows, right? There can be an indicative rating system can give. Yes, supervisor's review would be required, but on what? On the parameters which are not available in system.
Right.
But is that review required at the end of 6 months or at the end of probation period? Because that performance measurement or performance review can happen on monthly basis or fortnightly basis or weekly basis, because supervisor and subordinate are working together, right? So at the end of the probation period, we already know that where the employees stand, correct? Now it comes to HR. What value addition would HR do on that particular thing? Probably HR would check leaves, that how many leaves the person has taken. Has he taken too many leaves or not? HR would check, has there been any behavioral issues, any actions on person. Now all those systems are available, all those information are available in system, correct? So what is the role of HR there, right? If you design your whole confirmation process, and confirmation process is an example, you actually would be able to free up bandwidth of HR person from transactional activities up to 90%, correct? Now those 90% actually go into coaching, counseling, motivating, mentoring people whose productivity needs to be uplifted, right? This is one example. Now I'm coming to talent acquisition. Talent acquisition, there are brilliant solutions available which are on artificial intelligence and machine learning based, wherein our time into screening is almost negligible, and these solutions can work to a level that if let's assume I'm a recruiter and I'm on a leave for 10 days, right? And I proceeded on leave and somebody resigned. The posting of that vacancy happens automatically. People apply. This is their stack ranking which AI gives. The assessments happen automatically, and by the time I come back, I already have like 30, 40, 50, 100 people available who have already cleared all primary requirements. They've given the assessment. I have assessment results available. I know how well they meet our requirement. I just need to interview and close, right? There can be
How's the scheduling being done automatically?
uh, assume you have applied for a branch manager, Ranu, right? Your
Yes.
profile meets 60%, right?
Right.
If I have set a rule that anybody who made 60% or more, he needs to go for assessment A. I have an integration between my ATS, that is applicant tracking system, and my assessment partner. I have integration. So ATS will push this candidate because his stack ranking is more than 60%. Your stack ranking is more than 60%. It will push it to assessment partner. Assessment partner will initiate the assessment. Once person takes the assessment in ATS, he moves from stage A to stage B with assessment results.
Right.
And imagine what kind of reaction or what kind of delight candidate would be getting. He is applying, and in next 1 minute he is getting an assessment link that your profile is pre-screened, you are found suitable, this is the assessment you need to take. Correct.
Right.
Here candidates are rather struggling for 15, 20 days, months, 6 months for having some sort of a response from HR team.
Right.
And all these transactions are saved. Move a stage further. Suppose if all the people who are clearing assessment, I want to have business interview scheduling. How many of
Right.
us would have booked tickets through Book My Show? When the cinemas were on, we used to book tickets, movie tickets through Book My Show, right? It never failed,
Right.
right? It never happened that I
Right.
went there and there was somebody sitting. It never happened, right? My interview management tool can be very much like Book My Show, wherein candidate gets to see for this position, this 3-hour interview, these are the seats available, these are the seats which are already occupied. He selects a seat and done.
Okay.
Correct. Again, role of HR from scheduling activity, which is very much transactional activity, is gone.
Right.
Merging technology and analytics, right? A study says, and we replicated that study, and results are very similar. Almost 80-85 percentages of your offers can be closed without negotiation.
Okay.
Correct. But out of that, almost 90% out of those 85, people still discuss the salary, discuss the
Right.
compensation, wherein actually negotiation is not required. Right. So there is a concept of auto offer. If we do auto offer, that means if person is selected, the first offer is shot to individual immediately. Nobody need to intervene
Right.
in it. And as I've said, study says that 85% of them would get accepted. Imagine the time which can be saved. Imagine how greatly it is reduced to talk to people or physically meet people.
Right.
There are interview platforms, virtual interview platforms, which are available and which are brilliant one. Like imagine I'm taking your interview through this virtual platform. Correct.
Right.
You are seeing my face. I am seeing your face. I am interviewing, asking you question. But to me, there would be a separate console on the right side or left side or wherever I want, wherein because the system is also observing you, observing your facial expression. It is giving me triggers that Ranu seems to be slightly low on confidence. You may give some booster. Ranu is probably nervous. It seems he is very happy at this point of time. All those possible gestures are recorded, and system gives me as an interviewer a trigger that what should
Okay.
be my next question, or if I've missed something. So it's actually two people taking your interview, me and AI.
Right. Okay.
And for junior level, then only AI also can take interview. Now, why do I need to be there? And then AI can give you. So a robo is taking your interview, and that interview can happen to 10,000 people in one go.
Right.
Wherein for taking 10,000 interviews, I need to spend maybe 3-4 years.
Agreed.
Correct.
Agreed. I'm sure Wiki would be happy because I'm sure there are quite a lot of products, tools that they've already incorporated, and they have almost 4.5 lakh people automated salaries being processed from there and doing the entire HR function. Anyways, thanks, Vastav. What we'll do is, in interest of, we're running out of time, and I think it was a detailed discussion which I would like to evaluate further. I would like it to be passed on to Sunil Kabra for the question and answer piece. Sunil Ji. Over to you, Sunil.
Thanks, Rano. I think this was a very, very excellent comprehensive session. And thanks, Vastav, for a great input from an AI perspective. It was very exciting to hear you, and we would like to hear you more. So we'll take that offline.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, we have some questions which has come up in the group. Okay, I'll take one by one for each of them. Okay. I think a lot of question has come from an employee engagement, retention, and some of them are there from benefit portfolio and managing mental health, etc. I'll start with the first one, which is from Arun Jadhav. It says, in case business is impacted, the how one should look at retention of talent. Is working as freelance impacting the CV from an HR perspective when later on after the pandemic is over, one goes for a job rejoining procedure or something, another company. So is working freelance impacting the overall CV? Sudeep, would you like to take this?
Sure. Thanks, Sunil. So I would say there is going to be a big mindset shift post-COVID in terms of any breaks that you see in your CV, or if you have started something on your own. So in a traditional mindset, when we were doing our traditional recruiting, any let's say major break in one CV was seen with a little bit of question mark. But I think this is also going to be new normal when we already know that there are more than 2 million jobs in organized sector have been affected for no fault of any employee. Practically it's like it had to happen. It has happened. So I think going forward, if there is a gap in the CV, it's not going to be viewed negatively or held against the person. Rather, if somebody even says that I lost my clearly writes on the CV that okay, I there's a break because of XYZ reason. But yes, I think what interviewer is going to see that how did you utilize that break? Did you sort of use that as an opportunity to do something different, something new, experiment, or learn or upskill yourself? So if there's somebody's CV has 6 months break, and for 6 months, I mean, this person says, okay, let if I'm not getting a job, let me start something on my own. So I think entrepreneurship or self-initiated any sort of consulting assignment is going to be looked at very positively. For that shows a person is very positive. The person has very he has a great fighting spirit, and he also has an entrepreneurial mindset, which is going to be carrying much more premium in the future than what's having now. And also, if person has spent the time invested on himself in terms of learning a new skill or doing a certification course, or if for that matter even pursuing a hobby, or the person just says that yes, I just wanted some rest after 20 years of service, I have taken 3 months rest to look after my family or to spend time some on some personal assignment. I think all those are going to be respectable reasons to justify the break, and it should not and will not be held against the person. So the person would have equal opportunity of being considered for a open position. That's my
True,
solution.
true, Sudeep. I think what is more important here is getting oneself reskilled and learning new things or concentrating on new hobbies, whatever might be your interest per se.
Yes.
Thanks, Sudeep. I have next question from Ashish Kumar, which says, understand communication with employee is very critical. In view of pandemic, what is the best way to do employee engagement if many are working from home? Okay, this would be from a scenario where a lot of people are still connected from home and delivering the work and activities. How do you perceive that, Vastav?
So as I said in my earlier conversation, one of the key engagement driver would be the communication to employees and engagement activities with family, as Bhaskar also said, because family and employee and workplace are like more aligned nowadays, right? Communication is the key. Communication can be very much a focus group discussion communication to have a better engagement, and can have a communication which is very specific to that particular group, correct? As I also gave an example, our MD is doing communication with all frontline supervisors twice in a month, right? So that is really giving good picture to them of the organization and organization's future. And when it is done with first level of supervisor, there are less Chinese whispers and it goes to down the line. Another thing is, I'll take a minute here. Lot of organization used to have a lot of celebration, and in celebration there used to be talent shows, there used to be sports events separately. Correct. What was the need of those things? Through those things, employees used to know other employees better, right? Like I play good cricket, all my 100 colleagues would know that Vastav is a very good batsman. If I play drums, people would get to know Vastav plays drums, Vastav sings well, Vastav draws well. And when you know so many things about your colleagues, it automatically builds a connection between people. So giving opportunity for people to do and to showcase what they do good other than work, other than professional scenarios, is a very good way of bringing engagement amongst people. And if organization takes effort of showcasing those items through social media, it creates really a wow effect. That imagine my organization is telling to the world that Vastav is a very good cook. Vastav, this is the recipe created by Vastav, and this is a small video. It will immediately connect me to the organization, because organization is advocating me. So if organization is advocating me, I would be advocate of organization, and advocacy is one of the key element of employee engagement, right? So in current scenario, these are few things which can be immediately implemented. If you further want to go up, you can look at connecting families. Like there are organization, and my previous organization at DFC Bank is doing it very, very brilliantly, doing various kind of workshop for family members, workshop on parenting tips for kids, science projects for kids, right? Drawing classes for kids, singing classes for kids, correct? So suddenly when that happens, the family members feel that we are also connected to this organization, or we matter for the organization, and suddenly organization starts mattering for them. When organization matters to the family member, it certainly matters much to the employee himself. One more way of doing virtual employee engagement. Yeah, so these are few things I can immediately suggest.
Thanks. Thanks, Vastav. Bhaskar, would you like
Yeah.
to throw some highlight on this employee engagement in the current pandemic scenario, how it is being addressed in the manufacturing facilities? Because there everybody is working inside, but in view of pandemic, how this is being addressed? Okay.
No, that I have mentioned earlier only. So that we can do it in a very customized manner, which a few things Vastav has told, that age group of the children, then categories of the housewives, then employees categories, like that. And Sunil, I would also like to take up this next question of Narendra, that it is said that we all need to change our mindset to embrace the new normal. Do you feel that it is possible to bring about this change and sustain it?
Sure, sure. I was just about to read that out for you.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
So
think that is
now,
expected coming from Narendra. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. So now as the things are moving, it will be very tough and challenging to accept this change, because already it has been started that companies are giving up their office spaces. Okay. And very few people are now being called to office whenever it is required and all. So going forward also, at least I see that at least for 1 year, 2 years, so the metro based offices, people will start relinquishes. And one thing from manufacturing perspective, what will happen, that the concept of corporate offices and the centralized offices which were there in the metros, those were ceased to exist. And what people will do, people will have different functional headquarters in one or other plant, like finance headquarters, HO finance, so that they may have in one plant. HOHR or corporate HR, they may have in one plant. Then corporate procurement or central supply chain or central logistics, they may operate from one plant. So all those major 5-6 corporate functions, which are now have been developed over the year, so those people, they will distribute, if multi-unit companies are there, so they will distribute one or other function in each or other, and that already have been started. Like in our case also, our corporate project team, which was significant, so we are again shifting it based upon the nature of the project. So it is downstream project, so downstream project team will be based out of one of the downstream plant. Then it is a smelter project team, so we are shifting to one of the smelter. So in majority of the companies, so the concept of corporate office, which emerged during last 20 years, or from late 90s is started emerging. So now again, it will be back to square one, and very few people in corporate office like MD secretariat, maybe CHRO, CFO, 2, 3. So corporate office will have maximum 15-20 people. Rest all will move, and now people will also start accepting that we have to move to the smaller cities as compared to the Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai, like that. So that will be the mindset change. People now should start accepting to live in the smaller cities. Though in manufacturing, the corporate officer was not as large as the banking and all. So that is it, one change which I anticipate, and already I am seeing in the practice in majority of the corporate sector, in metals, in consumer durable, in FMCG, like that.
It will be good to see the movement of people back to rural or the mini metros, because previously the movement of people was more towards the metro cities because the economy was more concentrated there. And but now what the way you are saying that it will get attached to factories or the sites or etc. The support functions. Okay, so most of this will get merged there. True.
So
I mean, this is,
it will another thing, it will bring all round development also. So many people
yes.
moving to so many smaller smaller cities. So those cities also will get developed by the inclusion of so many people from metros.
It is like a the smart city development has already
Yeah,
started for 100 cities. Okay, and most a lot of that already started from a pre-pandemic scenario. Okay, now I think that will get tagged to this post-COVID things, and things will take shape in a faster way. Vasa, how do you see this in the banking sector? The this change, will it look come from a consolidation of some branches or something like that? Because if in the metros where the banks are more concentrated within the suburbs, etc., will there be consolidation of branches?
A consolidation of branches is unlikely to happen. There have been enough of opportunities or chances or triggers in past wherein, example, there was a digital boost of whole financial channels when Paytm came up and your other payment channels came into picture. Correct. Banks came up with their payment channels, or online banking became, the new trend, or application based or chatbot based banking become a trend. Correct. Even post demonetization, whereas suddenly the hard cash transactions reduced. Correct. Or in spite of all those times, and lot of banks actually thought of doing it, that why should we have so much investment on physical branches, right? But the and thing is, physical branches are needed. Correct. In upcountry locations, they are particularly needed, and in metros also, it is very much needed, because what has happened is, let's say, uh, place like Mumbai, place like, let's say, Bandra. In Bandra, if I have one branch, it will grow so fast in some time. I will end up having that branch as a smaller branch. Smaller branch means there are long lines and I can't manage the customers well. Now I have two options: either I increase or expand the size of that branch, or maybe 1.5 kilometer away I come up with a new branch. Right. If I come up with a new branch, it will increase the book size or wallet share of my bank, into that particular location. And also the customers who are overflowing the previous branch may get diverted there. So banks come up with one more branch in nearby vicinity. And all said and done, physical branches have been source of revenue and wealth or liabilities or asset distribution for a bank. And I don't see any reason why those things would get consolidated. Even
Okay.
if it talk about corporate office are far and few. So a lot of people still operate from branches. So I don't think there would be a major change in at least banking sector, what is expected to be in manufacturing sector, rightly so. I don't think that would be the case in banking.
Okay, thanks, Vastav. Sudeep, would you like to touch on this? Because is there where the back office and offshoring operations are being executed from a new normal perspective? Are end client, the overseas clients, accepting the new norm that staff can work from home? And from a security perspective, is it being a new normal?
Sunil, right now we have no option. At this moment, in any
Correct.
company, I will not talk of my company in specific, but in most of the organizations, let's say in Gurgaon region or any of the major metro regions, you can safely assume that 30 to 40% of the headcount has anyway moved back to their hometowns. Okay, so if I take off example of North, people have gone back to Himachal, UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, wherever they belong to, and now they are all operating from home. But now question is that a long-term sustainable model? To me, the answer is no. Reason being that most of the organizations which are into IT domain or banking domain or have huge security concerns because we are all using our home internet connection, which is not a secure connection. So that's one. That's a huge concern. And the second major concern is the infrastructure in smaller towns, in class B towns. Forget class B, in class A towns. Reason being that electricity supply is erratic. Let's put it like this: you don't have power backup. Today if I am having this conversation with you and my light goes off even for 1 second, my internet is disturbed, and if I am on an official call or I'm doing something on the system or tools, the whole thing will go for a toss. So the power situation on the countryside is still not that dependable. Forget countryside, even the cities is not dependable. I think that's one major issue. Second major issue is the security. The third issue is the dedicated workspace. Because see, in India, what we've seen that people, the concept of home office does not exist. Most of us, who are from middle class backgrounds are residing either in a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK kind of accommodation. And many times these are joint families where the grandparents are also staying, kids are also there, all in the same house. So maybe we still don't have, we have not evolved to the extent that where everybody who is into corporate sector who is working actually has one little private space which can be called as office or home office. Now with these limitations, the long-term sustainability of work from home itself is a question mark, if you ask me. Because I mean, unless one maybe company is providing somebody, okay, company is saying, let's say in Vastav's organization or in banking sector, they are saying, okay, anybody who is living in a 2 BHK can upgrade to 3 BHK, and company will say, okay, I will give you 15,000 rupees extra to meet the additional rental requirement, and you convert your third room into your home office. Or a 1 BHK guy moves to 2 BHK, and second BHK is actually, second bedroom is converted to a home office. And then also equip that office with the power backup, with air conditioning, with printer, with fax machine, everything. So that may not happen, or that may not be even practical or sustainable. So yes, at this moment we are meeting the need because this is more like an emergency situation. But unless the infrastructural issues, security concerns, which are much bigger concerns, are taken care of. Now you have customers who say that within your own office, which is so well, let's say, well structured office, which has so much of security access, which has so much of network security, because customers still want a dedicated space within the office itself. And this happens in many BPOs and KPOs and other IT companies, where you said this area is again a restricted area within a restricted area that no other staff should even enter. Now just imagine no staff could enter. Now those people actually working from home, and everybody anybody has access to it. So we will have to work out a feasible solution and a long-term solution for these kind of issues.
Yeah,
Yes.
very well highlighted, Sudeep. I think in the IT companies, this ODC offshore development center exclusive for a particular network, etc., was thought through, and a lot of MNCs came and set up their shop here. And that has gone for a toss as of now. So I think security would be a main thing which people would like to come back and come back into the office scenario now once this pandemic is over. Uh, Thanks, Sudeep. I would like to continue with you for the next question, which has come from Indu. She says in the work from home scenario, rejig or elimination of benefit portfolios like canteen, travel, uniform allowance, etc. Is it advisable? So the question is the rejig advisable or elimination advisable? So what is the best thing to do in the current scenario, keeping in view the HR policies? Sudeep?
Well, I think this question is still, not I mean, and the answer to this is still not very clear. Reason being that, okay, let's say you said, meal coupons. So practically every organization today offers a meal coupon options where maybe up to 100 rupees per day can be tax free in the hands of employee, and you have given out so extra meal card worth 2200 rupees per month. Now, if this guy doesn't come to office, how can you justify that this guy actually, had food in office? These were duty meals because the guy is anyway not coming to office. Similarly, if I'm not coming to office, I'm not wearing my uniform. I'm working from home in a t-shirt or shorts. And similarly, you have fuel reimbursement, driver salary, this, that, are so many other things. I think all this needs to be re-looked at because we still don't know. Maybe we need to take expert opinion of tax experts, that how income tax department for this financial year will react to such benefits extended to employees. So it will all depend on when the assessment happen for this financial year 2021, how our income tax department looks at all these perks or benefits which were extended, and accordingly companies may relook at those policies or those benefits. But yeah, some companies may go for a little more proactive approach and actually ask employers to convert all these perks or all these reimbursements into allowances which are taxable allowances to be on a safer side. So it all depends on the risk appetite of the organization and how conservative they are in the approach toward these benefits. But yeah, I mean, few things are very logical, and I think those things need to be definitely rejigged. And so it's not that somebody's salary is going to be reduced. It's just that we will have to restructure the benefits portfolio to meet need of the hour and also to remain tax friendly as well.
I think what you are saying is true. I think raging is something which is essential in the new norm because the tax department also should need to look at it in that right perspective. Bhaskar, would you like to touch upon this because you have a mix of factory people and also the corporate people. So how are you addressing this particular benefit portfolios at your end?
Currently, we also have this problem from the taxation side. Our reward team, corporate reward team, they have raised the issue. So that is one part. But as discussed earlier also, majority of our people are plant-based. So it will not impact much. But for the people who are getting these things, these need to be rejig and converted into either special allowance and all. Currently, like the entire country's attention is on containing COVID. So the taxation department and all, income tax also, no one is looking at this. So these are very minor thing. If something happen, company will do so remove these and put give as a special allowance and like that. So income tax department, government of India will also come out with some solution, and companies will also do something. And Sunil, with your permission, I will take this also, managing mental health of employees.
Exactly. I was just about to give it to you. I have one last question, so I just thought we'll mention that first, and then it has come from Dilip. The question is how the managing mental health of employees working from home is being addressed. Bhaskar, would you like to take first, and then we will go to everyone?
So one point which has so far not come for discussion here is that currently in the cases in work from home, especially in the banking sector, IT sector, in the other sector where it is very prevailing, and in the metro-based organization, we have in the majority of the cases, we have this uh, double employed couple. So husband, wife, both are working. So what is happening in the case where both are maybe frontliner, line function, or both are executioner. So the thing is that nowadays in work from home also offices start from 8 to 9 in the morning and goes up to 7 to 8. So it becomes very difficult if both are executioner that how to manage the home. And again, there is a chances are there that one is in the advisory type of role. So there he or she can manage along with attending the meeting in the passive role. So those are the things. So it is very, I also keep on listening for my young colleagues in the organization that things are getting very difficult. And I have seen people started taking leaves. In work from home also now people are taking leaves. And one person, and they are very serious in taking the leave, very seriously they apply for the leave, and that day they are not available neither on phone nor on laptop. And they are, when they are working on work from home, they are available from the office hours. 9 to 6 is our office hours with 1 hour lunch break. So dedicatedly they are available over there. So the thing is that this type of continuous mental health management is very much required. So we have to ensure that at least our system provide them continuous interaction. And the outside, I am of the belief that your outside consultant, outside psychiatrist, outside psychologist or outside trainer will not get in. It is only up to the your boss, how good the boss is in keeping his team and their family members in good humor. So it is up to him. So from boss's side, if you are tension free, your mental health will be good. In spite of so many best of best trainer, your boss is harassing you, troubling you, keeping meeting at 9 p.m., keeping meeting at 7:30 a.m., keeping meeting on Saturday, keeping meeting on Sunday. Okay, because he is of older age, he doesn't have children with him, he doesn't have his parents with him, both only husband wife are there, so they are managing well, so he has ample of time. So what to do, अब time pass करना है, चलो रात को 8 बजे meeting रख लिया. So that is happening. We keep on listening with our team and all. So those things, the rather organizing mental health session for the employees, the organization need to ensure that all managers behave in the way so their team members are very much comfortable. So that is the problem. Still you see so many webinars happening on mental health. अरे वहाँ बॉस परेशान कर रहा है, mental health का webinar क्या काम करेगा बताइए? That is the thing people are missing.
True. Very well covered, Bhaskar. I think the mental health is a topic which is going to keep. अब नए webinars उसके ऊपर आने शुरू हो जाएंगे. Okay, how to be happy, how to be joyful, how to deliver very happily. Sudeep, would you like to throw some light on this particular thing because a lot of your workforce are work from home?
Well, as almost 100% people are working from home.
Okay.
I would say there are two aspects to it. One is the proactive management and preventive, and other one is the reactive. Okay. When it comes to, when I say mental, I would mean emotional health of the person, you know. If I talk of preventive or proactive, I think one major point is maintaining the employee connect and employee communication. So as Bhaskar also mentioned that, you know, it all depends on how the line manager is treating the team members, how team members are connecting with each other. Because see, in pre-COVID days, these are team members used to have a lot of connect. They used to have a lot of friendship on the shop floor. They used to go for tea together, lunch together, breakfast together, share their personal things, vent out their feelings. So today, when people actually secluded in homes, they are not getting a place to vent out those feelings, those ideas, those frustrations which they were earlier getting. Hence, leading to the emotional, maybe well-being issues. So one is connect, communicate, and also, have those forums where person can express himself or herself. So I would say that is most important. Now it comes to giving a solution in case somebody has a issue. Definitely, I think organizations today have tied up. Let's say in our own company, we have something called employee assistance program, where you have toll-free numbers and you can actually call up and talk to a counselor. So anybody has any problem, personal, financial, anything, person can actually dial up a number and talk to this company. It's a global organization. Talk to the counselor there, and if need be, one person can also set up a face-to-face meeting with the counselor or the psychologist. And also organizations can tie up with a clinical psychologist, because typically these counselors are not medical professionals, so they are only psychologists. So what organizations can also do, tie up with some hospitals where they have these clinical psychologists. We can actually prescribe medicine and encourage people to take professional help if need be. I think there should be no stigma associated with seeking professional help when it comes to emotional or mental well-being. But yes, I think doing employee engagement events, like having regular, like in our company, we are doing regular yoga sessions. So we have few people who are very passionate and they are well trained. They are certified yoga professionals. So they are taking, let's say, once or twice a month, online yoga classes through WebEx link. So some of the people are expert. They are, let's say, faculty of art of living and all. So they are, they are volunteer to take some meditation classes, breathing classes, stress management classes, and also has some motivational talks. So I think employee engagement events can work as a good preventive measure. Counseling can work as good preventive measure, and connect with people can also work as a good preventive measure. And then ultimately, it is for people. I mean, nobody is stopping you from calling up your colleague and maybe having a half an hour informal chat after you complete your duty hours. And instead of having a physical face-to-face cup of coffee, why not sit with maybe a cup of coffee or a glass of wine over a video call, and share your emotions? Nobody's preventing that.
True, true. I think what you mentioned rightly, it is now what is important is connect, communicate, and collaborate. So these three C's are going to be important now, and it will be now e-communicate, e-connect, and e-collaborate. Okay. Vastav, is there anything different you are focusing there in the banking sector which you would like to highlight? Because I think you are 50% of your staff are working on a staggered manner, or almost all are working type.
I would correct that. A lot of people are working from branches. Lot of
Okay.
people are working from branches, banking being essential services. Correct. So branches and branch operations, central operations, whichever are customer facing roles, as
True.
per RBI guidelines, we need to be on, and branches need to be on. Correct. So here, rather a different challenge comes that there are people, almost 70%, 80% of people who are supposed to be operating from branches, and compulsorily they need to go. Initially, in first month or second month, there was rostering for them also. Now there is as such hardly any rostering. Everybody goes, and enough precautions are taken. There are people who are working from home, or they get an option whether they want to go to office, they don't want to go to office, right? uh, but there also most of the people are going to office, because if our other colleagues are working from office, how can we sit at home? Let us
True.
go to office as well. So that gives a good sense of camaraderie to people who are actually working in a branch, when they get to know these people are coming to office because we are operating from office. So that gives a very good sense. So very particularly this particular question on emotional health is relatively less relevant for larger set of people, correct? But I've seen, so organization, for our organization, that is not a concern. So there are no specific strategies on that at this point of time, at least. But what I've seen in other organization, and if I quote few example, what Sudeep has said is pretty right. Having informal conversation. So let's say if I, as an employee, never had good friends at my workplace, correct, then anyways my emotional health has gone for a toss, right? And if I have good friends at workplace, I just need to maintain that friendship on virtual platform, right? Which anyways we are doing. Everybody is connecting to their school friends and college friends and other friends which they've never connected all the times during this pandemic, through Zoom, through Microsoft Teams, through Google Meet, through WhatsApp video, correct? So anyways, we have become good in having a good relationship over the virtual channel. Because what we have done in last few months, correct? Add one more list to it. Add your colleagues, your office friends, and your large number of problem would be resolved. As a preventive measure, yes, wherever this work from home or virtual team management is happening or remote team handling is happening, the manager plays very critical role, and there has to be a proper developmental intervention for the managers, because most of the frontline managers would never have got experience of managing remote teams. Okay, and hence those people need to be targeted, need to be trained that what are the do's and don'ts, at least basic stuff on remote teams, so that you do not end up spoiling somebody's emotional health at least.
True. I think we have a flavor from a mental, emotional management perspective, a flavor from all the three industries. Okay, so that gives a very good perspective. And yes, thanks everyone. We had a very good interactive session on this Q&A. I hand over baton to Ranu.
Yeah, thanks, Sunil. Thanks for the concluding remarks. I think I liked one point when Sudip said specifically that Vastav, your company can help upgrading employees from 2 BHK to 3 BHK. I found that to be an interesting one, and I'm sure it's a good branding activity as well. But that was on a lighter note, and the context was different. I just was trying to play with that words. Thanks. It was a quite an elaborate discussion, and talking from various sectors, from manufacturing to the banking industry, the dynamics are so different. When Bhaskar specifically mentioned about employee engagement has gone to family engagement and the different ways of doing it. Laptop on rent, ensuring every family has a laptop is a very different way of looking at things. Vastav specifically made a couple of punchlines which were very important. Change in drivers to manage the drivers. There's so many drivers that he spoke about, and almost a very important point to look at the way the entire talent is being looked at today. Identifying the new needs and addressing the needs. Constraint in talent mobility today has become an opportunity to have diversity, to have talent from different spectrum. Social media hiring is also being looked as a corporate branding, which is a very, very important point. It was always, but today I'm sure the dynamics has changed and people are quite prevalent on the social networking sites. Today, sensitivity is a brand. Tomorrow, I think was a very, very strong point today who can ensure that if the employees can be taken care of, you become a brand in yourself in terms of attracting the right talent. Customized engagement for family members to keep them occupied, as Bhaskar mentioned. Relooking at the entire life cycle of the employee and trying to work at each stage once again. Everything should be done by technology, if not done by technology. Very well said that everything had to be done by people when the machine revolution came, and today you're talking about tech revolution. And most important point was the way you were talking about the solutions that are coming in the technology. We were also actually wanting to hear more and more about it, and we would like to have this round of session sometimes once again, and would like to have offline discussion with you on this, Vastav. And recognition in this new era, which Bhaskar specifically pointed out, is very, very important point. Too much discussed and too much was left is what I felt towards the end of the session. I would thank all the panelists once again to be part of the panel and throw your experience to us and ensure that it can be shared with the entire audience. Thanks a lot to everybody thanks a lot to our audience as well for a wonderful session today. Thanks, Sunil. Thanks, Vicky. Thanks, Bhaskar, Vastav, and Sudeep on the end for the session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bhaskar. Thanks, Sudeep. Thanks, Vastav. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
It was a pleasure to be part of this very engaging and intense discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks.
We disconnect now.
Yes, you.
Yeah, we can disconnect from the call, please.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Have a nice weekend.